Hi guys, hi mom and dad, hi parents. Welcome to this conversation here today about overwhelm. Baby is here now. Awesome, congratulations. And it's overwhelming, of course, but especially right now it seems to be that much more, especially coming into the pregnancy. I'm seeing a lot more families not sure because of everything that's going on, and hopefully I don't have to have this conversation and introduce this video, in a few weeks with the same, everything is so different in the world in terms of moms groups and support groups and everybody that you can access to get you some help. And I'm going to go over 7 things you need to know. Number 1, and you've already figured this out because it might be a few days in, is babies don't come with a manual. And each and every one is so different. So it's about learning as you go and trusting your gut and intuition. Trusting how you feel and what to do, because right now, brand new little one is about eating and sleeping and filling their diaper, changing their diaper, walking around with them to move with them, but also looking into their eyes and just soaking up their love and them soaking up your love for them. But trust yourself. Number 2 is important things about that you're going to naturally learn. You're going to learn a little bit on your own for yourself, what works for you, but also your partner's going to learn something that's a little different than you, and it's respecting each other's abilities and choices as to how they do things. So in terms of their most comfortable position to birth baby might be different for you versus your partner, and when you are sleep deprived and exhausted, we might want to share our techniques, but allow them to do it the way they wish to as well, to empower them and show them support as well, because baby's going to have a different relationship with your partner than with you, and that's okay. How to hold baby, how to burp baby, all those things as well. So making sure that you're comfortable, you're always holding the head, right? And the heel of your hand will come between their shoulders and you can cup under their bum. You can have them up over your shoulder on your chest, you can have them on their tummy with their head here and their feet straddled around your arm in the football hold, alternating sides, just so they're comfortable. You can have them laying on their side with their left side down, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Facing outwards is usually more common than the right side, but do it both ways as well. Holding them facing upwards, there's all sorts of different things that you're going to get comfortable with based on your strength, based on your handedness, based on what is easy for you. Always remembering though, you're moving them around, especially moms, right after baby, because you have your core is coming back to itself over the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's going to be a little more vulnerable to strain left and right, front and back, so you don't want to end up with back pain on top of everything that is going on and have to crawl around the house with your new baby. I have done that with my first one. And it's not fun. You don't have to do it. If you have any questions about that, ask. But making sure that you're just giving baby lots of love and do what feels right. Follow that gut, that intuition. Sometimes they're crying because they just want to be held. They want to be cuddled. They've been held nice and snug and tight inside your tummy for so long. They just love that feeling of connection and ease and being snuggled. Maybe they're hungry. They're going to eat a lot at different points, in the first few days, and then, at 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whenever they're hitting big milestones or growth, there's going to be days where you feel like all you're doing is nursing and feeding them and you're just exhausted, but then the next day they're going to, process that as your body is producing more to help meet their demands, right? So making sure, mom, that you are staying hydrated, that you're being fed, and if you're struggling, making sure that your partner or family or friends is supporting you in that and putting that in front of you so you can continue to nurse and to feed. And work together with each other as partners, supporting each other, allowing each other, as I said, to do things with their own style and technique, because they're each going to have different relationships with that little one, and just trust it and enjoy it and embrace and smile at the style or the way that your partner is holding baby or burping baby or changing baby. I always like to be on the ground on my hands and knees with a cloth down on the ground because they weren't going to fall anywhere. And that way also you got to put them on their tummy to air out and be naked and stimulate their sensory response a little bit after you've been changing them. leave them there for a moment or two, be right with them, and then roll them back on their back when you put that new diaper back on versus lifting their feet all the time. That's what I like to do, right? But we're all going to do things a little bit differently. You're also going to be sleep deprived, right? So be careful, again, with your partner, making sure that you're praising them even when you're exhausted, because you want to speak life into each other, to support each other, so you both have more energy to help this little baby, especially those first 6 or 8 weeks, which you feel is never going to end, but it will, and you will forget all about it. The hardest ones to get through. Those first couple weeks of nursing is uncomfortable, should not be painful. If it is, maybe baby needs an adjustment to release any tension on the nerves to the tongue or the latching mechanisms. Maybe you need a lactation consultant, also giving you some support if there is pain, but get help right away. Don't wait on that so you don't have any damage on your breast for nursing this baby, but also next baby as well, right? Learn how to lean on what feels right on your own and listen to your heart. Number 2, if you haven't had baby in a car seat yet, making sure that the car seat is properly installed and that the straps are really, really good and holding baby in the right place. So the chest strap's coming across the chest, not at the stomach. Each car seat is adjustable, so you're making sure the straps are giving the right amount of tension and support in the shoulders, not squishing them too much, not flexing them too much, but giving them enough support that they're not going to slide out at all, right? Or put too much pressure on their tailbone and their low back as well. Making sure that the car seat is actually tied in properly into the car. And yes, you can go to fire stations and police stations and different things like that, but sometimes the officers or the firemen that are there are not necessarily trained in it, so it's always good to call first. Send your spouse without the baby to make sure the car seat is inserted and attached properly, if they didn't already check it before you left the birthing center or the hospital or wherever baby was born, just to make sure that it is safe and right for baby. Make sure too, when you're taking baby in and out of the car, leave the car seat in the car and just take baby. Don't stress or strain your back with that extra weight. And yes, always sleeping, I want to keep them sleeping. Usually, if you're getting them in and out and they're sleeping, they're still going to stay asleep if you're holding them close to you. I've had moms say, I've never experienced that. That's not true, but I have. It's training them, right? It's training them through that experience, and if they're tired enough, they might wake or stir a little, but they're going to go back to sleep. Protect yourself, protect your back, protect your shoulders, protect your neck, because you're going to be looking down and staring down for hours at a time at this little one with nursing and caring and everything else. You don't need that extra stress, especially going in and out of stores and shops and your chiropractic office for appointments. Number three item to make sure that you are familiar and aware of is you cannot spoil a baby and you cannot perfectly schedule a baby. They have their own schedule, and they'll let you know when they're tired, they're going to let you know when they're awake, they're going to let you know when they're hungry, and it's listening to those cues. You still have to live life, and baby will, as long as they feel safe and comfortable with you, and they're fed, and they're changed, and they're dry, they're going to be happy. Schedules are going to change, because their schedules are going to change and disrupt your life as well, right? So looking at that and going, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be, okay, I have to feed them at this time and do this at this time. And it's listening to baby's cues, when they want to eat, how long they want to eat, and trusting that and following that. And that is the most natural, easy way to help with baby, and it'll get healthy easier, as I said, in the first 6 to 8 weeks, easier than bottle feeding, because you'll always have food with you if you're breastfeeding and nursing, so you never have to worry if you're out and about. Always get those covers that you can clip around your neck to put over top of you if you want when you're nursing, if you feel more comfortable to do that, all those kinds of things, right? Also, ways to take baby with you instead of that car seat is making sure you have some sort of wraps, and have different kinds of wraps for different sizes, ages, and days, because the way that you carry baby should have some variety to stimulate them as well. When they're first born, Maya wraps are really, really good because they're super soft. When they're bigger, they're more like toddlers, they're a little bit too stretchy, and you might need something with a little bit more of a woven wrap in it. But slings, different things like that are really, really good. You don't always want the one single wrap where there's one leg on each side, putting all that pressure on their hips and their coccyx and their sacrum. That's not good for them. If you are using a carrier such as that or something like that, make sure that baby is facing inwards and not outwards, because if they're outwards, it's going to push their head forward, impacting the growth and development of the curve in their neck and the activation of the muscles in the neck and the upper back and the nerve pathways as that cerebellum, midbrain, forebrain is growing and developing. So making sure that they're facing you in those kinds of carriers that have all of the straps and whatnot versus slings. Sleeping, scheduling. You can't schedule baby sleep training. Don't even try sleep training until they've started solid foods, because their stomachs are so small. And you may hear people say, you know, my baby sleeps through the night and they have forever. They may not. They may wake up 3 times a night and nurse, because they're sleeping with mom in the same room, and you hear them and you nurse them and you roll back over and you fall back to sleep. So technically baby did sleep all night. They didn't get up, they weren't screaming, they weren't crying. They just got their tummy filled and went right back to sleep. So that's a version of sleeping through the night. So don't try sleep training, guys, until they're eating solids. But if you're there when babies are little, up until those first 6-7 months, have them in your room with you, so you can meet their needs when it comes to nursing. And listen for those cues, because if you leave them too long and they start screaming and crying, it takes longer for them to get to bed. Their level of sensation or feeling of security is less, and then it starts to develop patterns and other struggles as well. So have them in a bassinet beside you if you don't have them in the bed, with something that's surrounding them to protect them if you're worried you're going to roll on them or what have you. But yeah, just have them with you, because they're used to being inside of you with you 24/7, and now this is a whole new world, right? They need to be near you, and listening to those cues helps them have more ease and less stress building in their nerve system. Breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is talking a little bit about it. It is totally natural. It is not always easy. And again, those first couple of weeks are uncomfortable. You can use coconut oil or olive oil or different types of oil that is a non-trans fat. I wouldn't use vegetable oil. But try and avoid petroleum products for nipple creams, just to protect them as your body's getting used to nursing. But again, 2 or 3 weeks, it should get more comfortable. If it is painful, get some chiropractic check for baby, or get a lactation consultant to assist as well in that process, so you're not struggling and you're not in a lot of pain and causing some damage as well, right? Again, babies typically eat every 2 to 3 hours or so, and your body will produce milk based on the demand of baby, and the milk itself will change based on baby's demands, if they're fighting something or you're fighting something, to help provide them with antibodies and greater immunity as well. Again, through growth spurts, I was mentioning a little bit before, it'll sometimes feel like you're feeding them 24 hours a day till your milk supply gets built back up, and then they will fill themselves up, those little ones, and they will just crash hard and sleep a lot. You'll like feed, and like, oh my gosh, they're sleeping, why can't they just stay like that? And then it just is always changing based on their demands and their needs of their growth, development, and milestone changes. Some days they'll cluster feed again in the first few days, for 7 to 10 days, 3 to 6 weeks, 3 months, 4 months, 9 months, as I mentioned before, to help you build up a supply. But the key is making sure you are eating some healthy fats, getting those omegas going in, making sure you're getting your vitamin D, making sure you're getting calories in, and lots of water. Sometimes at the beginning there, if babies are having trouble with their tummy, if it's not a chiropractic issue, just stay away from dairy. Maybe just the digestive processes is limiting their absorption, and they're getting a little more gassy and upset, so just stay away from dairy for a bit. Sometimes too, when you're breastfeeding, if you're struggling with it, right at the very, very beginning, don't have too many visitors. This can be really, really confusing for baby, and if baby's giving you cues that they are hungry and you haven't learned them yet, because baby's brand new, it might be your first one, you miss them, and then baby gets more frustrated and starts to cry, and then breastfeeding becomes a challenge and it's not working. So try those first 2 or 3 weeks not to have a lot of visitors and not to have a lot of other people holding the baby, because you want to be able to pick up on their cues, and nurse them when they are ready right away, so you can create that bond and that messaging, so baby can trust when they're hungry, they'll let you know, and they'll stay calm, and vice versa, you can be able to respond right away. Sometimes when there's too many visitors holding that baby, again, it's hard to establish that connection for nursing, and it makes baby harder to latch sometimes too, right? You want to make sure you have supportive people around you. You don't want someone around saying, I don't want you to breastfeed in front of me because it makes me feel uncomfortable. That's not the right person you want in the environment at the beginning. If those are individuals that are going to be around you, making sure maybe that they leave the room while you are nursing, because where you are with that baby is your comfort and your space, and just set some boundaries and some ground rules around that as well, so baby doesn't start to have issues again with latching and nursing and all those things. Again, eating and drinking lots, and by about 6 to 8 weeks, all of these little things will get a little easier where you're understanding their cues. You'll know when they're hungrier. Just when you get comfortable, their routines are going to flip and change again, but it's just being aware and listening in and catching in on those clues. So those first few weeks is all about learning them, when they need to eat, when they need to sleep, when they fill their diaper, when you need to change them, when you need to move. That's the other thing too, right? They're going to have their timetable all flipped around, because they've been used to being inside your tummy, and during the day you're moving all the time, and that kind of rocks them and keeps them sleeping. And at nighttime, right, you would feel them kick tons because that's when you stopped, and that's when they would wake up. So now you're not holding them and carrying them all the time. They're used to moving, and they're not used to moving. That's weird for them. So they get their days and their nights mixed up, when they should be awake or when they should not be awake. So making sure that during the day that you're moving as well, because that is what they're used to, but also holding them because they're used to that as well. Number 5, how to get baby to stop crying. This is a big one, right? There's lots of different things that can cause baby to cry. Again, some of those things I just described where we didn't have an opportunity to learn some of those cues about feeding. Maybe the baby has been fed, maybe they're too hot, maybe they're too cold, maybe they have a wet bum, a wet diaper, and they want it changed. Don't get them comfortable wearing wet diapers, please, or dirty diapers. You want to change them as soon as possible. It's healthier for them as well. And it'll help you when you do want to diaper or potty train them on the other end as well. There is a guy, he's got something called the Happiest Baby on the Block method, and I'm going to go over some of the things that he suggests with that. It's called the 5 S's. So right at the beginning, again, they're so used to being so compact inside mom's tummy, swaddling at the beginning. You don't want to get them all swaddled and curled up into a little ball like a possum or something like that and leave them there too long. They're meant to move and discover and learn and shift and realize that, you know, they have arms and legs, and to help them eventually with their sensory and their cues and their motor skills and their development and their rolling and all those pieces, right? So staying swaddled for too long is not good. That includes at nighttime and tying them down in cribs, you know, not my favorite thing. It's just not. Babies are designed to move just like you and I. If we're tied down in bed, that's not a good thing. But if they're really, really crying, maybe they do need to be held, or just comforted and have a blanket around them to make them feel like they have a little more sense of security in there. If they're having some gas pain, sometimes you have to put them on their left side. I was talking a little bit about that, holding them outwards or inwards, left side down, just to help them eliminate any wind or gas that they might be having as well. Or putting them in a football hold, so that's them on their tummy with their head here, arms on each side, legs swaddling here, and holding them. And you can hold them seated like that, and you want to switch sides, or you can walk around with them like that. That can stop them from being uncomfortable, just having that pressure on their tummy as well. And it's not always gas, it's just sometimes positional. Like our brains, ourselves, we like to move around and be in different positions, so our babies do as well. Again, making sure you're making them feel secure when you're in the football hold. Another one is shushing them, or playing sounds like the waves or the ocean. So if they're crying, doing the shh, your own sound, your own voice near them, that is at the same level and elevation of the crying that they're making, so they can hear it, to help calm them. Or putting wave sounds near them that will help just soothe them as well if they're crying excessively. Moving, again, as I was talking, movement is so important. Babies are used to moving because you used to move when they were inside your tummy. So the more active that you were, the more baby's going to want to move as they're out in the world, right? I moved a lot with my kids, so especially my first one, I found I had to make sure I walked 1.5 hours in the morning and 1.5 hours in the afternoon, because he just loved to move. He didn't want to be still sitting in the house staring at the sky, so I was very grateful he was born in May when the weather was turning. Also using your knuckle or pinky finger, depending how their size, if they're crying, and getting them sucking. Don't have them start a pacifier right away. If they're not breastfeeding very well and you haven't built that relationship after 3 or 4 weeks or so, or maybe even 6 weeks, try not to put a pacifier in there to replace the breast, because then it might be harder to go to the breast. But to help them, to soothe them while they're crying at the beginning, use your pinky finger knuckle just inside their mouth, and they'll start sucking on that, or the pointer of your pinky finger just reaching up into the top of their palate as well. They'll start sucking on that. Will help them soothe. It helps stimulate the cranial sacral rhythm, gets things flowing, especially if there's some pressure that's built up because of the delivery, or maybe a C-section delivery that didn't allow the cranial bones to set themselves really, really well. That may be creating some discomfort for them, and that sucking will help them naturally release some of that stress, so that fluid can get shifting and moving and get rid of some pressure for them. Or maybe again, that's where they might need an adjustment, super, super light, to help relieve that. But those are kind of 5 things if they're crying to do. Number 6, super, super important, caring for yourself, even amongst the chaos in the first 6 to 8 weeks. It may be, if your body allows, if you're not too injured from the delivery and you can have a bath, having a bath, having your partner look after baby while you have a bath. Doors are closed. Don't have your partner come into the bathroom with the baby while you're trying to relax, but have a quiet bath. Chat with a girlfriend. Again, have your partner looking after the baby while you're having an actual phone conversation with another human being. Huge, huge, huge. Partners and partners, making sure you're spending time together. 10 minutes after baby gets put down for bed at night, lay down, cuddle each other, either cry for a moment if you need to, but cuddle each other and talk about something other than baby. Don't talk about bowel movements, don't talk about diapers, don't talk about crying, don't talk about feeding, don't talk about anything to do with baby, but talk about something about them, what they were grateful for, what they're excited for, that has absolutely nothing to do with baby, so you two can connect even early on to create a healthy habit for you guys as a couple. Super, super, super important. Making sure that you're eating healthy, making sure you have people to help you eat healthy, and eating and sleeping when baby is sleeping, not cleaning, sleep. Just an aside as well, guys, baby blues are normal, just a little bit, not huge amounts. Baby blues a little bit are normal within the first couple of weeks after baby arrives and the adrenaline's kicked off. There might be a little bit of sadness, a little bit of weeping, and about 25 to 50% of women. And it's something that you don't need help with, you just need to process and allow yourself to feel and recognize it, and allow yourself to have those moments of just letting go and recovering, and maybe just a way of your body releasing stress as well. There is also something called postpartum depression, which is not normal, and it's in 10 to 15% of women, and they are saying it's a little higher right now with life going on. Can be hormonal, nutrients can be off because you're not eating, could have been because of pregnancy, you weren't able to eat really, really well. Could be exhaustion, a number of things. Make sure you get support right away with that. Talking to your naturopaths, your chiropractors. No, we're not counselors by any means, but we have resources and people we can send you to help you with that, and help you enjoy babies sooner. And then there's super, super rare, and 0.1, 0.2% of women, super, super low percentage, something called a postpartum psychosis, super, super rare, and that's something where you need medical emergency help right away. Overwhelmed happens because there's so many changes that have happened. Your hormones have changed, you've had a baby, your body's changed, you're nursing, you've got hormones happening with that, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're hungry, you're dehydrated, so many things. It's easy to get overwhelmed, but keep talking about it. Don't hold it in, don't hold it to yourself, because it makes you just feel that much more alone and overwhelmed as well. We are here, reach out. We're here to talk you through these things, review these things again. Have a housekeeper if you need, have a grocery delivery, have a meal train, friends and family bringing you food. Because in the short 6 to 8 weeks, you'll feel like all of this out of control is gone and you'll forget about it. That is most normal. Sometimes it lasts longer, but that's the most common, is those first couple months is the hardest. And number 7, soon everything is going to be fine. The crazy and the now and the overwhelm is going to be gone. It will get better. You'll forget about it. Baby will sleep. Baby still will cry. And that's okay. But you'll be able to nurse better. You'll be able to change them with one hand and talk on the phone with the other hand. You're not going to panic at every spot or rash that little one has. But those first few weeks will be rough, but soon you'll have lots of hours of smiles and coos and kisses and hugs. Soon baby will be rolling and sitting up and crawling and then walking and running, and you won't look back at any of that yucky stuff. But hang in there and keep telling yourself, and have your partner tell themselves this, that I've got this, meaning you. I've got this. I've got this. Write it down, stick it on your fridge, stick it on your mirror, you name it. Stop, breathe. If you are having a moment of overwhelm, one last tip, put baby in the crib in a safe, secure spot that they're not going to hurt themselves. Go into your bathroom, close the door, breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth a few times, have some water, just take a couple minutes. You've got this, and you're doing awesome. We'll see you soon.